So this hypergamy means women are much more selective in their mating than men are, and that's true cross-culturally. And it's not surprising because they pay a bigger price for sex. It's more dangerous for women because they can get pregnant, and it might be more dangerous emotionally as well. And I believe that would be a reflection of their higher levels of agreeableness and higher levels of negative emotionality. So women do put themselves at risk more, and that might be why there's such a intense debate about what constitutes consent on campuses, despite these beliefs in polyamory and all of these things. But so anyways, on Tinder, as you said, women select 4% of the men.
Yep.
So that means,
and I would imagine that 4% is very high up on what you're calling the success hierarchy. I have a friend, a good-looking guy. He was very active on Tinder for a while, and he accumulated more than 20,000 matches on the app.
20,000.
20,000. And he was so successful that Tinder pinpointed him early on and gave him all kinds of free perks and bonuses and lifted his radius restrictions, gave him the Tinder Gold app or whatever version of it, basically trying to entice him to continue to use the app. Yeah, they wanted to entice him.
Wait, don't they also do that to like girls too? Like hot girls?
Really?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
She's bringing a lot of traffic to the platform, so they need to make their money.
This is so amazing.
They never want you to leave.
These are unbelievably pernicious and vicious broad-scale social experiments that are far more potent than anything like government policy.
Well,
he's in Genghis Khan territory with 20,000.
I don't know if he slept with all 20,000.
Yeah, well,
maybe
my
10,000.
suspicions are he tried. And I know
he'll get a kick out of that.
That records for like athletes, for example, and movie stars, there's some of the men have reportedly slept with thousands of women. Yes, Wilt Chamberlain, and there's others who are in the same category. But they're men who have women throwing themselves at them all the time, lining up for them. And I've read biographies of people who had that sort of thing happen as well.
But that's not the typical male experience.
The typical male experience is all rejection. Exactly.
Right. They might get a couple matches a week.
Right. So you see what's happening is that Tinder is one of the forces that's transforming monogamy into polygamy. And the problem with polygamy is that it follows a Pareto distribution, like the distribution of wealth, is that some tiny minority of men get all the sexual opportunity and all the rest get virtually none. And that is a recipe for social instability.
I agree with Jordan Peterson saying that things are going to end up leaning towards more like polygamy because of hypergamy. If you even look at people's DNA today, most people have descended from Genghis, like a huge percent of the world has descended from Genghis Khan, who was one king who just literally, because he was king, he could have thousands of wives. And today, like almost 50% of people today have him as a common ancestor.
I mean, that
sort of deregulation of romantic relationships, whereas in the past it was expected for you to have one partner and over time settle down, whereas now it's a total free-for-all. I mean, there are aspects to this that a lot of people don't think about. I mean, I talk to young people, so I have younger friends who I talk to who are sort of very active on the apps and in sort of the dating scene, and they'll tell me things like it's even easier to cheat. So in the past, if you wanted to be unfaithful to your partner, it was risky because, essentially like you had the same social circle, you had the same friends, everyone knew everyone else. But now with the apps, you can match with someone who is completely outside of your social reality, outside of your partner's social reality. You can have a very discreet rendezvous. No one will ever know about this. Ghosting has become...
I disagree with him about that point, that it's easier to cheat today than it is back then. Back then, you could cheat on someone across town and then there would be no social media connection that your girlfriend could find on your phone. Across town, just a couple miles away from where their home is. You cannot do that today.
Alan, think about it. It's a Friday night. Girls at home. Let me download the dating app real quick. Swipe. Oh, you want to meet up? Meet up in less than an hour. Do your thing. You wake up the next morning. Your man is hitting you up. Oh, where were you? Oh, I just fell asleep.
That's a very specific narrative, but like...
Bro, that happens often. That happens very often.
But you can get caught. It's easy. It's convenient, but you can get caught. Like, say your man finds your Tinder account.
You can get caught way easier. You can't... He said get away with cheating. He didn't say cheating. He said to get away with it. It was way easier to get away when there was nothing like to track you.
Back in the day, if you wanted to, you can travel deep You can travel mad far, get to a
All right,
No,
fair
we don't even
enough.
travel.
the next town and instantly just vanish. You can even probably like get her pregnant and just disappear off the face of the earth.
Yo, nah, you're right. You guys are right. Girls be stalking, bro. Girls be
Yeah,
on your
they
social
don't they don't they don't
medias.
miss a detail. They don't miss a detail.
Yo,
They're gonna ask your friend, your cousin, and your neighbor,
that's true.
where have you been?
And I don't know if you know about ghosting, but it's
No, I
basically
don't.
where you're in a relationship with someone, and after you have sex, once or however many times, then you just vanish. You never see that person again. Delete them from your phone, block them on social media. You never have to see them again, and there's
Right,
no
so
social
that's a
cost to
real
this.
that's a real psychopathic conquest strategy.
Yes,
Right.
yes.
Because the psychopaths,
It's-
they tend to form relationships that are very predatory and then disappear.
Mhm.
Because that way their reputations stay intact as long as they can continue to disappear.
But I'm interested in what you had said before about whether this is actually sort of cultivating psychopathy in young people and young men, where in the past, typically a psychopath would do that on their own, but now with the apps and the technology, removing all of the friction from breaking up with someone or having to communicate with someone that you no longer want to see them. I think a lot of people who ghost others, they're not even thinking in those terms. They're not thinking, I want to maliciously hurt this person, or I don't care about this person. It's just like, it's easy. You press a few buttons on your smartphone and you can move on to the next conquest. And I think a lot of people wouldn't act that way otherwise.
Well, the question would be what happens to you after you do that 4 or 5 times? Let's say you're not particularly psychopathic to begin with. It's like you learn what you practice. And I would say, look, if you're using people continually as a means to an end, and I think sex is probably the most effective way of doing that, then you're establishing a pattern of interaction between you and other people at perhaps the deepest possible level. And so if you do that repeatedly, first of all, you're certainly not engaging in anything that might be regarded as a meaningful or deep relationship. Quite the contrary, you regard that as excess baggage. That's an impediment to your next conquest, so to speak. So how would that not?
Like you said, sex becomes a means to an end, and
they've done
sex has
it-
never
done
been a
really
means to
well.
an end, bro. Think about the positions that you have sex. You would rather just not look at them, rather than like something as intimate as missionary, where you actually look at the person and you actually make love. That love becomes toxic. Making love is toxic then, and having sex is normal.
What girls say, they always say what's politically correct, but maybe now girls are just being honest about what they truly feel. Maybe they already felt like that before. They did a study about what people are attracted to, and girls would say one thing because like they had sensors attached to the parts that get aroused, and girls would say one thing, but like if they were shown a picture of what they said they want, they wouldn't be aroused. But if they saw something that they would deem as wrong, then they would be aroused.
Mhm.
So, and then guys, what they said matched up with what they were true. Like guys just told the truth, but girls said
Okay.
what sounded good.
Yeah, it could also mean that the short-term gratifications are being more desired in today's society. Everybody knows that love can be boring sometimes. You don't go into it for short-term gratification. When it comes to sex, that's obviously very, very short-term, and it's very fun. But then after that, it's like a high, and then the rush is over, and then you're back to lows. You have to go seek for some more highs. Their selection is going to be tampered with the more they seek short-term gratification. So it's okay to have hypergamy, but the selection, unfortunately, it is affecting the family structure, is affecting the kids, and it's affecting society. So there should be some incentive or some motive to get women to choose better.
With society being more open to non-politically correct things, I feel like we're going to eventually have to move along with something that's proper.
I think if you make child support optional, make things more equal in terms of like as a single mother compared to being married. And I feel like
The stigma behind single mothers being strong and independent needs to go away as well. It's not doing anybody any good. You should run away from that scenario as much as possible. Single motherhood is never an ideal situation. I have my respect for all single mothers out there, but I'm sure they can even attest to that. So all that praise that's been going towards them, you gotta go.
So all the single mothers out there, like the struggle is real, and sometimes better for the mothers to like prioritize the kid over like their own relationship status. So sometimes they just like say, well, I'm not gonna lower my standards, so I'm just not gonna pick anything. I'm just gonna prioritize the kid right now and just do that. Like to all those people out there, like that's tough. But like honestly, like it's just like you knew what you're signing up for.
For men dating single mothers, I don't know
Props
what
to
to say
you trying to
about
make a
that.
better world, I guess.
If you're a young man dating a single mother, where you still have to build a career, now you have the responsibility of a kid and a mother. If you truly love her, man, I respect your decision, but just understand that if you haven't got your shit together yet, be self-aware of that at least. If you got your shit together and you still want to be with single mothers, that's cool.
With like hypergamy and whatnot, like I don't think a shorty will like select someone who she doesn't think will be able to supply. I mean, so support and protect. But if she were to, then both parties made the wrong choice.